Hello and happy. Well, I mean, this isn't for the moon. This is just for the month. This is just for whatever the fuck is going on in the month of June. In this uh segue into the maturation of Gemini season, into this strange planetary parade in the sky, with Mercury overtaking Jupiter, I believe, and all of its moons in its strange little shenanigan parade as well. And very much in the spirit of Gemini, because last I read, of the dozens and dozens of moons that Jupiter has, I want to say it's 90 something, 94. Um, it's like the biggest moon and the smallest moon are present in like east and west directions, and one of these moons is bigger than Mercury, so it's very much like an interesting planetary body in its own right. I believe the biggest one also has its own like electromagnetic pulse, or like a magnetosphere, an electromagnetic radiation of it. um and I'm always interested in what is the, I said, I guess, opposite or antithesis or what have you. Um, and Gemini is my Scorpio antithesis. Um, and interestingly enough, though everything else is aligned in this planetary parade, um, the planetary body of Haumea, a Hawaii indigenous uh, name attached to this, spirit attached to this, acknowledgement attached to this, um, sort of tethering to. Um, I think it can also be ignored, but I think for a lot of us, it will serve as a tethering to and sort of a major grounding moment in the midst of all of these dances happening in all of these interesting and intense energies. Um, and the midst of all of these moons attached, even, I feel very like overwhelmed with it. It's like uh multiplication of all of this energy, or like moons within moons, like moonception kind of thing. And this isn't even meant to be about the moon. This is just whatever the heck is going on in June. That rhymed. um but yeah, there's an intense momentum to the spiral of the galaxy, that I think, whether we acknowledge it or believe in it or not, you do feel, your body does, in the cosmos of of its own right, does interact with these things. Um, and I believe Venus will be conjunct with this moon in this planetary parade when it does go, but I could be wrong about that. We'll do that later. Um, in general, with the June solstice and summer upon us and these particular moons, I think June's intense and heated, and then summer, and the world is on fast forward, and I just want to slow that down. Um, and I think, spring has sprung and also not, and it's frustrating, and equilibrium is difficult. And again, with respects to Haumea and this tethering to um, a mature creation, um, I believe will be important, if not uh, attempted to be forgotten altogether. Um, I don't know. It's a really intense time for colonization. So while that is on the other side of memory, I think it's okay to bring positive memories forward. We don't have to let go of everything with these narratives, or let go of everything as the world moves forward. Just the stuff that does not fit anymore, the stuff that does not fulfill, fuel, inspire. Um, but with all that being said, uh, I thought it would be kind to offer advice for everybody for the next few weeks. And while these are useful for whatever you identify as your sun, moon, and rising, I often find that those are just really not what I'm interested in, or what I find to be as informative in the way people move through the world or interact or love themselves. So consider where your Venus and your Mars is, and consider where your Mercury is, especially now. There's very much a lending to that kind of energy, and that may be the independent magnetic sphere that carries stronger emotions forward, while there is a clever overtaking in the midst of this parade, which is funny considering I'm pretty sure, in like band line, you're like not supposed to do that. Ironic, if the planets were personalities, and they are. Um, so I'm feeling frisky, and I'm gonna try a new deck that I got for Halloween last year. And it's still numbers, it's still playing cards, but there's other numbers attached to it. That again is kind of like uh, numbers within numbers and like patterns within patterns, and I think very appropriate for the moons that we will see and the dances of planets that we will see and the perspectives that are possible at this current time. And so we will start with Gemini because it is still your righteous season. Um, and we will see what exists in the space in between. We should read together at least once. It just makes me feel better, I think. Oh, June. Oh, Gemini. Whatever it is that brought you here that you intend to find within these cards, focus on that on your exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. That tickled. Um, Relational issues. That has a lot to do with yourself too. I don't think I've ever actually felt that. It was more like tingling on my cuticles, or like the sides of my fingers, like in relation to um all of the planets' relation to themselves, all of the way that we hide or express ourselves to ourselves is often very indicative of the ways in which that we hide or leap at the world. And as I said that, there's like hands on this card. So let's see. King of Hearts, three of spades. Damn, okay. Three of spades was at the bottom of the deck. The King of Hearts is a really powerful thing, and the Three of Spades is also a very powerful card. It is not foreboding. However, it is deeply woven and intimate, and very integral, I think, because of that. Very much uh, solar plexus energy that comes from strong hips, or strong desire. Um, the King of Hearts is a strong desire. The Three of Swords inverted is like weak in integrity. Doubt, like self-doubt, I think questioning of communication, questioning of how these things relate, or why these things come together. And I do think that even like the frustrating ones do teach us all something about interaction. Um, but perhaps we're feeling a little spent. Perhaps we're feeling a little like those aren't uh, building to perhaps what we want to be. Let's see what's on these cards. Let's see. Let's see. Um, there's also a six. That's the building. Building or protection. So walls against or building community. On which side of that coin do we fall on? Hand in hand indicates confiding disposition when in close proximity. Da, 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 da. Friendship will warm into love when near. Favor will be bound with superiors. Financial success. Is that a wantonness for it? Because that is also inverted with a near far as an omen of phenomenal luck and a great abundance, high honors, and all ambition attained. Ah, whether near or far. Yep, whether near or far. I love that. Okay, because that's kind of exactly what I said too. Are we necessarily understanding the value of those relationships because we see that value within ourselves? And where the three of spades I said was like doubtful or lacking integrity. This like pig omen, the sacred pig, is a reminder um that you have everything you need already. And looking out into the world and seeing maybe what you lack or what you want in a wantonness, not necessarily in a motivator. um and even so, motivation from outside points of view or perspective often leads to comparison, regardless of the, I guess, intention. It's just something like psychological. And I think this is a altogether a reminder of like, yes, I see that you're doubting, but like trust yourself. Like, yes, I see that you're far off looking, but like what is here? What is present? Yes, I see that you're like heads in the clouds, but like where are your feet? And how grounded are we? There's absolutely nothing wrong with being very head in the clouds. But you can reach farther when you are more tethered and more grounded. Um, in both ways. Deep rooted plants are the ones that are very stocky and have tall growth identities, or are predictably going to stalk and grow upwards. So look at yourself like a plant, and maybe you need a little bigger pot and to be repotted in a way, so that you can continue to find nourishment and know that that is there as a renewable resource for you. And maybe that's again that connection thing where people maybe feel draining, um, because because it doesn't feel like your attention or your affection is a renewable resource yet, perhaps. And or in those instances, uh, there's an element of people pleasing or an element of what is it they say? Like you're more exhausted by people when you find yourself, I guess, inauthentic to it, or to the surroundings. And yeah, that comes with, customer service face. Uh, so in those ways, there's ways to balance the in between. It's not like you can get out of some situations, but there's ways to balance and remind yourself that you are real and that you are integral and that you like these things and care about these things and don't uh, question yourself so much. It's hard not to. Everybody, I think, is. And I think that's maybe also the frequency that we pick up on in any given room. But it is not you. So how do we shake those things off? Um, like like this lucky piggy who I would imagine is happy and uh, happy and abundant and making friends and gaining weight and all of the good things. Um, so I hope very much that for you. Uh, may you build stronger and uh, with more integrity to great heights. May you expand in your base so that you can soar in the mind um, and in those things that you want. Party on. Seems really intense, but also it's birthday month, so you're probably seeing a lot of people and you're probably dealing with a lot of people. I feel like everybody's working a ton. So we're just feeling the intensity of all of the social pull. And that is okay and that is normal. Just don't forget to sit up straight and drop your shoulders and remind yourself of what you care about and sink into that rather than the overwhelming feeling of everybody. Party on, Gemini. Love you. Rock on. Let's see. Bow, 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 bow. Cancer. You said babies. I love you so much. You're good people. I love how all of that already took so much. I hope the sound of post rain driving outside is calming to you as well. If you can hear it, I would imagine there's a little bit picking up at the very least. Dear Cancer, what's your deal, bro? Oh, okay. I love jokers in numbers because it essentially, I think, functions as a major arcana card, but it's also sort of an elusive transformation because of that. And if you read the major arcana as if it's, these sort of cycles of energy in this one major contraption, then this is, in fact, the beginning of something entirely new. Um, 10 of clubs. 10 of clubs is a lot of heat, a lot of energy, a lot of uh, cycles of energy. And okay, so it isn't necessarily just all on you though. I feel like if you take it very literally, it's like carrying 10 sticks, right? Or like 10 clovers or whatever the fuck. Um, or 10 offerings or 10 things, but you can disperse those things. The like various stone henges or wood henges that exist around the world are these, stakes of wood, these, tall, towering stakes of what looks like trees in these places. It is still sort of like a man-made vortex of energy, right? Um, it's meant to function as that, I think, uh, in sort of this holding space for more, and vortex energy up. Uh, that can feel quite overwhelming as well. But I think if you get very clear on what that looks like internally and what it feels like in your body and what the, I guess, antidote would feel. When I got my face tattooed, it was very challenging. And I remember very distinctly just closing my eyes, and I always see these like these light patterns. Like sometimes I can't just close my eyes and listen to things because it's very distracting. It used to keep me up at night a lot at night. And I did that and I focused on like the vibration of my breath, and I could see it sort of vortex either clockwise or counterclockwise away from me or towards me. And when it was really intense and very painful, it very much took me internally, and I would see it sort of counterclockwise and like into me. And because of that, I was able to like I guess, push back and meet that frequency. And so I would, in my mind, I guess, seeing these lights would rotate it and make it go the opposite direction and sort of push energy out. Which actually felt like it cooled my body down a lot too, where like heat would rise from just needle. Um, but I think that is something that exists constantly. I think that is something that we are very capable of being able to see and feel without necessarily excruciating pain. However, that is one of the ways that I tend to. Um, and I think we can make it very clear when we're feeling like this 10 of wands or 10 of clubs energy fucking pouring on you. What does it look like when you're pouring out? What does it feel like when you're pouring out? And I think that's a big challenge for cancers in general is feeling like these wells of emotion that may not even be just their own, and how intense that can be to sort of like handle internally and externally. Um, but I think understanding this is life changing. It changed my life. It absolutely is something that I return to often. Um, being able to see that, I mean, or understand that. So I think focusing on that will become a tool that nobody can really take from you and nobody could have armed you with better. And that is, I think, a really integral way to be prepared with all that is to come and all that was and all that will be and could be and all that jazz. Uh, this is very exciting. This is very much like a like tickles inside kind of adventure. I feel like when I know big things are going to happen and I know that something is going to change me. Um, so I wish you all the ease in the world for it. Not that it is easy per se, but like channeling Haumea with that natural birthing process of bliss where it could have been excruciating. Um, and how those two things can kind of dance um, and often mask each other as well. But yeah, party on. That's really intense. Wait, let's see what it said. 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is also an 8. Continuation of cycles. Like I said, it's going to be a tool that you can come back to again and again and again. And that will satiate a lot of doubt because it's not anything anybody could teach you better, or teach you, have taught you better than yourself because you're the only one that can see what it's like in your own mind's eye, right? Um, which, I mean, even, just the exercise of trying, like, science goes to show even blind contour drawing, um, helps the brain develop its own, like, creative reality and ability to have a more opaque imagination. Look it up. What else did this say? The tower surrounded by clouds denotes sickness and if adjoining death. Ooh. These are spooky Halloween cards. This is also probably likened to the Tower card in tarot, which what a European perspective. Um, what a colonizer perspective. The Tower card is a beautiful card, not necessarily this foreboding church like fear of judgment stuff. That's very much the way these cards are maybe painted in uh, religion in some ways. Um, but I enjoy picking out all things apart. But with that being said, the Tower and Death card are Death being one of my favorite, and the Tower definitely being something that I'm attached to astrologically or horoscopically or whatever. Um, and both, though they have this like foreboding past, are really very much about new beginnings. They're very much about revolution. And these, new days. This red sun has been used. The red sun in the devil, I mean, in the death card has been used historically in times of revolution, like icon wise in art. Um, I think the tower is an incredible lesson in your life that makes you that much more of a teacher, that much more of a stable, mature, confidant, and knower of yourself and things. Because any good philosophy must work up and down. So the tower is moments where you get to do more research and you get to solidify and you get to, question everything because it's only going to make you stronger. And it's only going to make that foundation that much more solid and assuring. Um, and those are beautiful things to look forward to, that level of assurance, that level of stability, that level of knowingness, that level of, I have rebuilt this from the ground up, so I know there's no doubt. That's some integral shit, my friend. And that is very much what this Joker has to say about it as well. What an interesting combination, my friend. Um, love you. I hope that serves you well in your pocket for the month. Leo, 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 Leo. This headphone like does not want to stay in my. It has more microphones. I thought that would help. I thought y'all would like that. So we'll see. Okay. All right. All right. You are down. But we're going with that. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Um, I love this. Nine of spades, eight of diamonds, and then what fell out was the three of hearts, right? Which for me, and because I'm reading this is very much a sweet allusion to where my heart breaks and where it also pours, and where that will be useful, um, and how that's a really strong foot to start on. So whatever that means for you too, my heart bleeds for you. Um, Nine of swords or nine of spades, but spades are swords. Um, at least in the way that I've read, an eight of diamonds. We're taking mental energy and putting it back into our body. We're taking the past maybe and burying it, not bringing it into the future, because when you bury it, you give that tragedy, you give that uh it doesn't even have to be that. You feed the earth. No tragedy needed. You feed the earth. I say that all the time. I mean, as a vegetarian and with any kind of animal product, like if you bury me in this, it will feed the earth. Versus if you were to bury me in a vegan leather jacket. Um, but that's how I abide. Um, I think it's very much about how to make this. I said that how to make this mental reality a tangible reality. How to see true reflection how to feel true reciprocity, or how to feel um like you're getting what you're giving in any given situation. Although I do think it's very much tied to like sociability and romance to some degree, but I think that can also take many forms sometimes. Uh, Rather than romance, we just want, appreciation and gratitude. Um, and that can also take many forms. So, uh, maybe that's a creative project, maybe that's work, maybe that's your significant other. Um, I do think with such an uh, such a wishful ace, um, don't let this heavy, intense mental energy create doubt for any wish, however small. Um, and you'd be surprised how sometimes we just don't see them yet. Let's see what else is on here. Oh, wait, let's see what fell out of this first. The sun near signifies the sun near signifies happiness and popularity. Near snakes, mice, and dark side of clouds, passages vexation. Well, there's none of those things. There's only flowers and birds and bright things. Roses indicate beauty and rugged health. Um, that red sun that I was talking about too. New beginnings. I know they're like reflections in the lights is like ionization in the oh gosh, itchy. Is it ionization in the air? Um, and so I think that's, the ways that we can change light's refraction, the ways that we can change the story, the ways that we can change the way that we are perceived, or the way that we maybe even fear being perceived. I do know that there are some deep roots of fear of being seen for a lot of people, whether they understand it or not. It's you'll get there. Took me some time, and it's also very indicative of its own aura, its own magnetosphere again. So its own, again, this like the way you romance yourself maybe has a lot to do with the way that you show up for others. The way that you show up for yourself has a lot to do with the way you show up for others. But do you romance yourself? Where apply love heavily to the things that have shame. Apply love heavily to the wounds. Apply love heavily to misunderstanding. It is heavy emotional labor, but it is very much worth it when your heart pulses harder than anything else. There's a 5 and a 9. There's another 9, 2 nines, which is 3, really. Um, ooh, the birds signify dire misfortune and fierce enemies. I will call bluff on that. Again, I love picking apart the bits of Eurocentricness and fear of darkness that exists in a lot of these things. And I think in the same way that people fear ravens or crows or find them undesirable, is the same reason or is has much to do with why I love them and why I adore them. There was something else about snakes, another one, but that in and of itself has such a deep history of symbolism that's been uh, obfuscated as well. Um, Birds have many songs and carry many messages. Um, that is perhaps a lot of opportunities and uh, can with itself bring some overwhelm because birds you find in your path and you can never quite catch up with, right? Um, but we learn much from understanding the ways in which they do that. Um, they catch a wave, they glide, or they catch a wind wave and they glide. But also, for as overwhelming as that can be, trying to understand the sounds that they make in the languages that they speak and why. because they're never just, are they? They're never just doing anything. They're singing to another bird or calling to another bird or looking for something, or come to bring a message. I think a lot of people have very uh, visceral, very real experiences, um, where they are brought a message through some form of bird, um, whether that be doves and love, or owls and aliens, or crows and death, or magpies and friendly spirits and understanding and balance. Uh, they carry something important. And I think that is something that maybe is better served on our mind than the doubts and wantonness of connecting with things that maybe don't sing to you as sweetly, or that judge you when you sing back. I don't think the birds will ever. Um, and I think it's quite fun to try. But people are a different story. Um, so, where are we putting our focus in that? Um, Fives are chambers of creation, of communication, and also very much where our heart leads us. Don't let your heart lead you to spaces where you're in fear of judgment. The birds are free. Um, and I think that's something that we envy and fear them for. And I think that's why the card talks about them the way they do. Um, da, 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 da. Find energy in that. Take, like, not take, but find, reciprocity in that relationship. The way in, like, in any, not in any, but in a lot of practices, a lot of body movement practices like qigong, you get up with the sun because you're pulling energy from the sun in the way that plants do. And I think maybe in a lot of ways, in a lot of relationships, we feel like those things are pulling energy away from us. But the birds beg us to remind, or the birds beg us to remember, um, that we can pull energy from their song, and we can pull energy from the wind, something that is not there or you can't see. And that we can pull from ourselves the same kind of energy to sing sweetly too. Go bird watching. Maybe that's what I'll do, and make a wish on a bird you've never seen before, and maybe it'll carry that message across many winds. All right, dear Virgo, how are you? Dear Virgo, let's see you. Ooh. Okay. Four of clubs, with another four. Oh, interesting. Cycle, sturdy, love. I think that's a very playful place for your mind. I think that's almost, I want to feel like jester about it. Um, but maybe not that silly. But it very much is playful, creative, uh, maybe even childlike. It's kind of goofy, uh, like the son of a knight, which is funny because the apple fall kind of far from the tree sometimes. Um, and there's a key here, with this four of clubs. Uh, Four of clubs, fire energy, wand energy. We have a lot of culpability, capability, cultivating, and a lot of playful, creative mind energy. What a space where you could kind of do anything you want. If you have a blank canvas, it could be anything. You could create as many dimensions as you want. Um, it's like those chalk painters that make like these crazy optic illusions with kids chalk and a sidewalk. Um, that is also really stable, minimal resources. Not minimal like minimalism, but if you were to, look around, here's again, the chalk artist and a sidewalk. It's not, expensive canvas and expensive oils and expensive this and, expensive clay wheel or what have you. It's like two really almost unsuspecting items. Um, and something that I often think of, an artist once told me that doesn't matter what you're using. It could be a ballpoint pen. It's about the artist. And so this is strong stance, strong thighs, and like as hard and as far as you want to go, with this open playfulness in mind. Um, it's like the son of a knight. He doesn't have to take on the same duties. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 4 and a 7. So we have again sort of this gracing um strength. I want it. It's like an electrical fence. Like we have this foundation, right? And yes, we can have a second foundation. Make it solid, make it stronger. Uh, But at the same time too, it's almost like with this 7, there's like an added grace, an added sort of like protection barrier, like an electric fence that's like invisible but still very much keeps trouble at bay. Which is a lot of good grace and a lot of like many blessings to your home and a lot of, many blessings to your health and your body and with this key, the key to absolute heaven, I would think. Um the key to wherever it is that you want to go. Very much like those fun time travel movies. The key nearby is a certain augury of success, but if surrounded by unlucky cards, the prognostication is illness. But there's no the shepherd. The shepherd indicates an intense love of life and strong fellow feeling. Yeah, and no negative cards here, dear. Just an intense love of life and a strong fellow feeling. What up? And very much again that added grace, that added charge, that added electrical quality. Um, that really makes for, I think, a really solid creative space. The four of clubs or the four of wands is very much a precursor or a starting point to a larger, like I said, that 10 of clubs, a larger circle for a larger magnetism and to be able to maintain capacity for larger energy. So party on. We've got power. We've got power. We've got place. Like, let's see what happens with it. Um, I think that's very much a wonderful atmosphere to be in. Don't get too stuck on, what ought to be done or should be done or what that ought to look like. Just have fun with it and see where it takes you. Libra. my sweet, my friend. Hmm. Oof. All right, dear Libra. Oh, this is driving me nuts. Oh, there we go. Okay. Ten of Hearts, Jack of Clubs, Jack of Diamonds, Ten of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds. Okay, Ten of Hearts, Jack of Diamonds. That's a lot of emotional energy. That's a very in-depth, uh, internal and emotional picture that now has a very distinct purpose or a very specific idea of what to do with that energy. And if not yet, then this is what, and you're like, I don't know what to do. Then this is what you need to focus on. If you have all of this desire in your heart and you have all of this wantonness about you, then where are we putting it, and what does that look like, and what does that feel like? Because when you really get down to it, and somebody asks you, like, what do you really care about, or what do you really want? And we're like, shit, I don't know. Um, then we take that time and we try it really on for size. And that's the fun thing about being able to do it in your mind is you could try anything on for size. I love to do this with like drafting replies to anything is like or to I guess important things or things you're torn on is like, this version of you and what the heart on this side wants to say and this version of you and what the maybe more analytical thing is to say and how those presentations of yourself really feel and like in you and then being able to go back to it and sort of see that from the outside and as current you third person perspective um is that the person that you want to be um but for all of the big words that we use about the things that we want and the price tags that are attached to them, I think we lose sight of what what our internal vision of that really looks like, and what it is that it's actually supposed to feel like until we're in it and we're like, ooh, this doesn't feel like I thought it would. This doesn't look like I thought it would. This isn't actually what I want anymore. Or this isn't actually what I thought it would be. It's because that inner vision is unclear. Um, it's because we haven't sat down with all of these thoughts and played with what they could look like or what that could be seen as or interpreted as or what that could be used for. It's being very resourceful with yourself, but also, with what's around you. Uh, it's funny the many career paths and turns and 180s and 360s that we do. Um, there is always a line tethered to your heart and to your personality that often gets sort of overlaid with titles and overlaid with positions rather than like this is what I love to do, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at, um, and more personal reasons why we engage with some of the things that we do. Um, da, 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 da. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so this is the 5 and the 7, but reversed. Um, which means maybe coming from a graceful place or coming from a trusting and graceful place and acknowledgement of having had all of the resources we needed to get this far. And fun little factoid that made me cry when it was reading was science now being able to prove that there's generations, so many generations that are like DNA can account for within our body. So it's not just like woo woo. Um, so you're never alone, and that is resource that you can pull from. That is resource of knowledge that you can pull from it, even if you do still feel alone and you're unsure as to who you would tap into anyway with ancestors, or you don't want to tap into your ancestors because you know if they sucked then they might still suck now. Um, whatever the case may be, um, everything around you is something that you can consider as a resource for your life. And what does it look like when you consider those things, or when you start to see resource and start to see opportunity and start to see support and start to see community and start to see all of these things um, that perhaps you had been wanting in before? And what can you make with that? Going back from that imagination to the drawing board in a creative space. Um, bouquet of flowers, an absolute indication of long and happy life. Ooh. If children are nearby, extraordinary honors and fame. Lovely. Are there children in this other card? The rider is a sure sign of good news. Ooh. Ooh. And alongside the right cards. Um, I love this too. Even these like small pictures on the magnitude and the radiations of our dreams, of this dreaming tree, of this hope tree. It makes me there's like dolls. It's not Cocopelli dolls. It's like something else. It's a Latin indigenous thing. Um, but they were like these little wish dolls. They'd put in a box. I don't remember what they were called, but I had some. I don't know what happened to them. Um, but that's very much what this tree is making me think of. Uh, go to a wishful place, go to a comfortable place, go to your dreamscape, and paint it however you want it to be. And then jump through that, right into the morning in the landscape that you painted in your dreamscape, and make it real. And feel how real it could feel in that world, so that it can be just as real here. I feel like it's like reverse astral projecting in this particular sense. Uh, so interesting. What an interesting way to perhaps find balance and truth in a shaky time. And that's perhaps like exactly what is needed. As the world is shaking, as many earthquakes and volcanoes are erupting, uh, it's like the game board is shaking underneath us. So, what are you going to cling to? And a lot of us are going to cling to things that are shaking too. But if you can cling to you, cling to your heart, cling to your truth, cling to your mind underneath all of these fears and perceptions and shames and guilts and what have you. Um, you as pure you as you are, as light, as sound. Um, hold true to that, and the world can shake all at once. Uh, you'll still be able to steady, much like a rider on a horse. Damn, party. All right. Dear Scorpios, my favorite. Not my favorite. It's just me being biased. Because I'm pretty sure Scorpios are into platonic butt stuff. It's a penetration joke. Two of diamonds, four of diamonds. Okay, interesting, actually. Um, because Scorpios are very much about and work well with, I suppose, intangible energy, with the sort of ethereal energy, deeper energy. Um, so these both being very tangible, very earthbound cards is interesting. Um, and a form of a challenge, in my experience, um, how vivid the mental world can be, and being able to relay that. How ebbing and flowing the emotional world can be, our inner emotional world can be, and how to really relay that, um, in ways that both we can understand, and also so other people can understand it too, which is much more difficult. But it is possible. Um, I think the Two of Diamonds is very much, there's this like forlorn character too. It's a mirror experience. It's the acknowledgement of, it's the coming to, and you know what? Even as I'm saying that, um, I think it's maybe where we understand that the light and the source. Um, for as important as emotional energy and what the night brings and what darkness brings is, as important as the moon is, um, understand that the moon is a reflection of the sun. Um, and in that way, is there something to, is there something more to be said of it? Is there something more? Is there some deeper understanding to be gained when you understand the source of that reflection? So perhaps this is some deep internal reflection, about our boundaries and about the things that we are not standing for. Um, with going to the source, that also becomes kind of an identity card as well. Um, what was that number? 18, 8, 9. This is also a 9. Ooh. But it's number 27. The dog, if near, represents true friends. If distant and surrounded by clouds, beware of unsuspected enemies. I believe it was close. Yes, it was close. This was the one that was reversed. Um, the dog is close. Good friends. Cool. Good things. But even if it was reversed, ooh, cool. I'm glad that it's not, because that would much more at odds. I would say more paranoid. So cool. Okay. Um, if we can, again, like I was kind of ranting about with the last reading, like tethering to ourselves. Um, if you are clear about your identity beyond the labels, if you are clear about who you are, beyond what it looks like, if you are clear about who you be, what you feel like, what you look like in like an astral projection kind of way, um, then nothing can shake you. And that is why this dog is not reversed, because then you're not ears pointed, you're not paranoid, you're not worried about, what it is that people want or don't want from you, or expect or don't expect, because you know who you are and what you expect from you. You know what you're capable of, and they are capable of anything. It's just a matter of time. Um, I feel like this is, even with the reflection of twos, when that light bounces back, it does, illuminate your soul deeper. So stand true in that. Let it sort of fill out your bones, and really feel how tangible all of this spiritual energy is in you, so that you can move forth with that tangible glow, with that solid, uh, though we are unreal, uh, show up and see it and believe it, and be that for you before anything else. But because that's such a joy to be, it serves its purpose for others as well. uh Um, but I think that also leads to a different level of community and a different level of understanding and witnessing and validation as well. Not that we need the validation, but I think the witnessing is something that the particles of our memory do require at points in our lives. And this may very well be one of those points uh, for you, for me, for a lot of people. So stay true, stay poised, stay playful. Woo! Sagittarius. Please don't headphones. Saggy, baby. Saggy, baby. Four of swords, four of spades, 10 of hearts. Ooh, this 10 was here earlier. Uh, oh, it's another four, kind of. Um, 15's also very lucky. Um, I think for as large as some of these other capabilities of mental capacity could be, it's more about expanding horizons. Whereas this, I think, is very much about focus. Um, and maybe actually putting some boundaries on yourself. Not like boundaries as in shackling, but goal posts or like clear markers, clear determinations of like what is and is not, clearer distinctions of self and reality. I think for self that can be maybe, trying on a lot of hats, trying on a lot of things. Uh Again, that question of like, well, what do you care about on a daily basis? The instant Sag, I think, would also be like, I care about everything, like could be, I care about everything. There's so much going on. How do we discriminate against any of it? And now that it's discrimination, but like we have to be sort of aware and selective of where we can do best. And I think it takes also great awareness and knowledge and accountability to be able to say, I have this much, tools and knowledge, but this is not a plate I can spin right now. Can you take this? Do you want this? And be able to sort of hand off reins. Um, or be able to, and then and in that sense, you're clearly defining, what your time can be used for at this moment and, where you can put your energy. And that allows you to not be scattered all over the place. It's very much, defining your land, defining what things are, what they mean to you, and why they feel the way that they do. Um, what is this other card? Ten of Hearts. Interesting. Aloof and dreamy, but it's much more about your um, history, hope, and your energy, and what all of those things put out. Um, and I think cultivated memory. Uh, Within sense of self, you can, and with a healed version of healed sense of self, um, I think it's less scary to go back and see versions of yourself that were not where you are now. And there's nothing to fault them for that. They were going through their own shit, younger you. Um, but I think being able to go back and see that version of yourself and still be able to like understand what it is and how you are now um solidifies, I am this way because I've grown out of this and this and this. Or I'm a product of all of these experiences. And while those experiences are, cherry blossoms on a tree and, you know, have bloomed and made the tree more beautiful, also carry away with the wind. And there's nothing lost in that sense either. There has only been growth. Um, and I think that's maybe the challenge of with all of that growth seeing smaller again, but seeing clearly. It's seeing you for all you're made to be, and that doesn't put you in a human height. You can still be as tall as the moon. That just means that you're very embodied. I think that's maybe the ultimate thing is feeling very present and embodied and empowered in where you are now, regardless of the past and regardless of the future. And I think that's something that can be difficult for a lot of strict mental ideology or dogmatic uh, sort of tetherings to, or simply perception and what it is we've known, and what it is we've presumed ourselves to be. The I when near denotes great interest taken by friends when distant signifies suspicion. It was distant. You're suspicious of yourself. No, I think that's actually what I say about anxiety. Is it's almost like living through other people's eyes because you're so overwhelmed with perceptions of you, or I guess what people are thinking, or all of the parts that play. Even if it's not, are they thinking about me or whatever, whatever. It's just that so much is going on, or that all these eyes are on you, and you lose sense of. It's almost like you're supposed to be able to see yourself back, and you don't. You're just like, am I a vampire? There's no reflection here. It's just eyes looking back at me, overwhelmed. Um, but that's very disembodied. That's very energy scattered when you can sort of take that energy back, plop it back in your head, and be able to see yourself in the situation. I think that's why the ways in which we talk, or like the tools in which people give us to sort of talk to ourselves out of a anxiety attack or panic attack is very much about like sort of placing pieces of your reality back into its place, back into its hole. My sounds are here, my sight is here, my touch is here, sensation wise. And I think that's very much what this Four of Spades, mental energy, and eye upon us is uh, foretelling. Gosh, this keeps bothering my ear. I think when you get clearer about that embodiment, you see just how capable you are and uh, how much more of the world you can interact with because now you're seeing it clearly, seeing it intensely. Uh, so don't hold yourself back, especially in all of these high transition times. Uh, presume, in fact, that you are capable of much more. Um, See it, feel it, be it, dream it, and it'll only be a matter of time before you do it. Capricorn, my love, calling your Pluto back again. Oh my. I feel like my ear's just sweating and it's irritating. Irritating. Cappy baby. Hmm. Aha. Okay. We have this 10 of Wands card again. Um, Very intense energy, calling Pluto back. Um, we've talked about this before too, like the level of which Capricorn will hold tightly to itself. The level of which will hold tightly to what we've known Capricorn's influence on Pluto to be. Um, with this Ten of Wands and this intensity and this church yet again, this tower, um, we're excavating, detecting underneath the surface. I feel like hoarding. Like I want to say bomb shelter, but let me be careful. But it is a lot of like hoarding energy, hoarding resources, um, saving, like that kind of mentality. Um, because I feel like Capricorn wants to be buried with all of its belongings. So it's anything that is let go of feels more like it's being ripped away. And that is a really intense place to be. A really traumatic place to be. Um, the more you resist, I suppose. Um, Two of clubs also with that. I mean, it's more heat, that's more fire. I feel like it could be an escape or a way out, but it could also be like just another strike to the match. Um, I feel like within those two possibilities, it's about dealing with all of this energy. How do we get it out? Or how do we, not get rid of it, but how do we meet it? How do we honor it? How do we move it? Um, and I feel like this two of clubs wants to pass it off, and that's maybe more like a codependency, lack of accountability. Um, or again, the match thing, or a gate thing, but that's comes with directing. Um, and I think what is it like with water dowsing? You don't. I guess you can use trees. People do that too. But I feel like this is more like wanting and asking rather than like stillness and waiting. With when it's met with this kind of energy, with this level of intensity, it's kind of flailing. Um, and what could feel like an unclear answer. But if we sat and waited with it, then perhaps we'd find that there's actually water entirely underneath us. Funny enough, because one of those Jupiter moons actually is like filled with water, like it has an inner ocean that consists of more water than exists on Earth. And that's perhaps what's excavating. Oh, I actually moved that. That's what perhaps what is being asked to be excavated as it sort of makes moves around Mercury, um, and Jupiter, and rests among this parade of planets. Is what is the well underneath you, and how does it move? If you like when you like submerge yourself underneath water and you can kind of hear everything. Um, what would your current sound like? What direction is it flowing? Is it calm waters? Is it raging rivers? Is it uh and how do we still that or change that? Because monks have changed the directions of water. So obviously we can do it with our own internal system. Um, this 10 of clubs is very much raging waters, and this 2 of clubs is asking for calm waters, or asking for an outlet, asking to be delta, perhaps, in which we find ways and means of dealing. We find ways of taking this energy and allowing it to surface so that we can direct it. And that is not numbing, that is not escaping, that is pure accountability, and that's very hard, but it is necessary. It is a necessary emotional labor that leads you to really powerful places. This is also a 46, which would be another 10. The railroad forecasts a long journey if near. Oh, something about an accident or a robbery. Forecasts a long journey. The others are more so if it's near numbers, I suppose. But this is a long journey. Even the train goes sort of into the abyss and into the darkness, which is the cave dwelling of the inner self, which is where we find sources of water. Um, but that's also where we'll find what is leaking and be able to heal it, be able to bandage it, be able to uh, control this water flow reasonably, on this inner water flow rather than leak all over everybody's floor. Um, and that's again kind of this 10 of wands initially, this tower energy is perhaps a pipe will burst and we will be forced to face uh just where that goes. We'll be forced to go down there and dig, uh, and figure out what's there, and figure out why it hurts so much still, and figure out why it feels like it's still happening, or what we want to feel like instead, or what we would have wanted uh, in that moment of needing support so that we could feel better today. Offer yourself that support then so that you can feel better about it today, or feel more safe and honored in your own body. It's a lot of intense energy, a lot of tens here, a lot of excavation of emotional waters, and how that fuels our movement, or our choices, or the moves we make. How these emotional assumptions actually fuel more actions than we care to acknowledge. It makes me think too. This like calling back of Capricorn is also maybe, and like what I said about wanting to be buried with objects, is it also like, finding the song that we sing to ourselves on the passage of death, the river of death, um, or this passage to a new beginning. Uh, I think at any given moment, if I was to pass, uh, I think about that fear, and I also think about what's attached to it, and I think what would peace be like, or would peace be attached to? Um, and a lot of people, I think, in that moment would fear their accomplishments and fear their regrets and be sort of overcome by that. Um, as times shift, uh, rather than focus on those fears and regrets or should have been accomplishments, how is it that we find peace in the passing so that we are lulled to uh, a new creative understanding rather than panicking into the abyss? And that's again that creative internal world. What does paradise look like? And if you can't imagine it, is it black void of paranoia? Uh, let's not go that direction. Imagine something a little brighter, a little clearer, a lot clearer, preferably. Okay, that's enough for Capricorn. Aquarius. Aquarius, love, how are you? Aquarius, love, how are you? Ooh, there's a bear. Um, King of Clubs, King of Hearts. Ooh, okay. Um, Master of resources, master of his craft, master of his desires and choices. Uh, I feel like this is also a master of communication with those resources, like people who can speak to animals or people who can see auras and plants. There's somebody that's very aware of their surroundings, and very aware of uh, the roles they play in this magical ecosystem. And the King of Hearts is very aware of, and it's facing us, very aware of his inner resources and the reciprocity of his relationships and deals and um, agreements with people, and with himself, because he's come into agreement with himself in mind space and in heart space. The agreements with other people are able to prosper more effectively because there's integrity woven from the start. Um, and a bear, a scary bear. The bear is a sign of successful speculations, which, again, because of this inner alignment, the perceptions of you can only really be that. And if they are not, that is not a sign of your disalignment. That is a sign of the perceptions of this other person and what they need. This is a sign of their misalignment in sight. Um, there's also a five. There's also a six. So steady steps, clever steps to building from creative mindset to tangible reality. Um, something worth protecting, something something that you honor, something that you love. Uh, something that becomes a renewable resource in its own. Something like love, perhaps. What else does this say? Hand in hand indicates confiding disposition when in close proximity. Friendship will warm into love. Favor will be found with superiors. Financial success. Again, beautiful agreements. I feel like this is also when we fall into alignment in this strange little game. It's almost like little cheat codes where you can call to and move forth rather easily. Um, so I wish you many blessings on all of your positive agreements. May your inner alignment further your alignment in the world, uh, so that your experience on this planet in this time feels more like a symphony and the earth more like your orchestra than anything else. And that is perhaps the reality that we can all aspire to, um, as we let go of Capricorn and aim toward Aquarius. Though Capricorn's still holding on desperately. But we're just free, man. We're just too free. All right, see a Pisces, all this water energy. I know you guys gonna be for me. Strange bird. Here, Pisces. Hmm. Okay. Sorry. Oh, the sound effects. Ace of Hearts and a Six of Wands. For all of the ways that sixes have alluded to themselves up until now. Now we've got a right proper one and an Ace of Hearts. So we have uh, a gift of love, a deep reaching into the self, even. Um, and with a six, I think this is the ways in which that we've protected our heart, the ways in which we find why it's worth protecting, the ways in which we find uh, why it requires the space that it does to flourish, and how we can create that space. Um, Desperately, deeply, what do you want to build? What do you want your life to look like? Um, is there unfulfilled desire at your fingertips? Is there a version of you past that holds you back? Um, is this also maybe feeling like there's not enough resources when in fact, I believe there is a supercharge? There's an 11 with this. Oh, extra wish. Beautiful. Whatever it is you are wishing, get very clear on it because this is quite a ample energy behind it. The fox in close proximity augurs distrust of acquaintances who are seeking to betray you. But he was distant, so there's less danger. However, distrust. Lightning denotes surprise, disagreeable in accordance to distance, which is also at bay, realistically. So again, whatever it is that you want, what is it that's or that you thought yourself to be, that you wanted to be when you grew up, that uh you want your life to feel like now? Why is it that you feel like it doesn't or can't? What is it that sort of rains on your parade in your mind's reality? And how do we creatively uh, thwart those problems in their own right? Um, I do think with this fox, we can get very caught in our heads and in cyclical thought. And that's very much this what if, what if, what if. Uh, and that becomes a pattern of doubt. When that what if does not have to be that. What if can also be a really powerful scientific way of problem solving. But um, what if we used what if for the things that were astronomical, but we wanted more than the bad things? What if we put our attention toward the best possible outcomes, toward the ideal outcomes? What if? Um, and allow that to serve as a source or starting point for the capability of reflection from there. Because if you create it here, then it will eventually be something that you will see tangibly. In a less graceful way, the kind of fake it till you make it thing. Um, but you have to divert from the pattern to begin with. You know, what if? What if we diverted from the pattern? What else? Oh, the lightning, the lightning, the lightning. Disagreeable in accordance to distance, but also far off. I feel like this is like uh, taking chances and opportunities, understanding just how common it is to be struck by lightning, for instance, and just how much energy surrounds us. So what seems impossible is actually quite possible, and that is maybe where we can think with the grace of this Ace of Hearts and this 11 that is attached to it. I think we can think bigger than just a Six of Wands. I think that's humbleness, perhaps, holding you back from seeing just how deep your waters can run, just how just seeing how deep the well can go, um, and just how much intensity and integrity and storage capacity exists within that. Um, just how supercharged you can be. Um, Which is maybe its only own honor and of acknowledgement too, for all of the foreboding aspects of this. Um, is it because when we hold ourselves close, we see more of that pain and patterning? So we keep ourselves at bay, and you know what? That's not something we'll be able to do for very long. And so, doing it by choice uh, won't bring bad things. It will only make you stronger in being able to face them on your own. Um, and face them with faith in yourself. So as everything, comes to its head, uh, where is your head at? And have you distanced yourself from it? Uh, because those waters rage inside of you when you do. Um, Even though you think that it's maybe numbing, it really just shakes things up more. So face it, do your little dance with this fox, understand your power, and dream much bigger than you've given yourself credit for because you have the capacity for it. Already on Pisces. All right, full circle. We're getting there. We're getting there. Dear Aries, how are you hanging, my friend? What's up, Aries? Hmm. Hmm. Three of Wands, Three of Clubs, Ace of Hearts, and the Fox inverted again. Um, with this three proceeding, I feel like this is a pattern that we choose to take with someone or something else, like patterns of relationships rather than being single because we just don't want to be alone. Um, Patterns of resenting or patterns of ignoring communication, things we often do without realizing it. I feel like this is ways in which we pass off responsibility. Um, and I think this Ace of Hearts is a reminder of that collective energy and how when we pass things off, it's not, we don't save ourselves from it. It still becomes part of our energy, just energy that's ignored. But when we pass those things off, we also kind of pass off that same feeling too, on or pass off the feelings, the memories, the pain, whatever it is. I think that's especially true for relationships. The way people say or get into things after something ended very quickly. Um, Chemically, I think those bodies understand that, and it's good. There's a lot of science to show that your bodies chemically receive and understand and pick up a lot of this, and hold on to it. And that is something that we perpetuate when we do it mindlessly over and over again until one day we realize that we've passed off so many parts of ourselves that we've got nothing left, and yet we still feel all the pain. And so this Ace of Hearts is very much a reminder of coming back to self, and very much a reminder of collective energy. That coming back to self also only serves the world around you. Understanding yourself better, being kinder to yourself, being at ease with yourself brings ease to the space around you. Conversely, being at odds with yourself, being miserable or self loathing, being very stressed with yourself, chemically also is kind of contagious. That is something that other people's pheromones will interact with in sweat and change the way that they're feeling or understanding information chemically at that moment, which I found really interesting. And I think when we think about that, it's a little bit of a way to step outside of ourselves, in a, not that it's like, excuse me, like a way to escape, but a way to step beyond ourselves, a way to see beyond our own misery, a way to see um, beyond our own pain, even, and start to see the pain that we cause ourselves and the pain that we cause others. I think that is really important, responsible, accountable work to do. Um, and is when we start to explore what the mind of this fox is again, what the mind of this these patterns are, and where that leads to. And oh, I don't remember whose reading it was, but like, what if we just changed those patterns? What if we just tried something different? What if we held onto these sticks and built something instead of hand them off? um what else is on this card? There's a five. Creative space, creative energy. I feel like that's opportunity and responsibility to choose. Uh, the tree, good health, near flowers, fulfillment of highest hopes. Beautiful. So when you have all of this, uh, positive things too. You gain a lot more back when you are able to see what you have and offer it as well. So are we more, I feel like in general, society is a lot more quick to be like offering of the negative parts of their day or offering of the things that they're unhappy about rather than offering of the things that they're very content with or they're very enthusiastic about or they're very excited about or they're very pleased with. Um, so this is a perspective shift thing, and that's exactly what this fox being inverted, I think, can lend itself to. Is simply a backmasking, or a flip it and reverse it, um, and see what that does to the energy around you and what that does to the energy inside of you and how much you have to offer because of it. How much you have to offer because your psyche is clear about what it is you have and what it is you want, and what it is you can offer any given situation. Um, there's a 5 and an 11. I think it does supersede itself. It's funny how quickly things can grow when we are offered support and giving support as well. That's very much like the reciprocity of the earth. It's funny how fast things can grow when they are given their best sunlight and when they are, given their best nutrients. It's funny how quickly we can grow when we tend to those things and find ourselves with more to give. Um, so tend to those things, like the plants that you are. Um, Focus on offering positivity rather than negativity. Um, Focus on healing the things that you would rather hand off, um, and challenge yourself to flip and reverse previous patterns in a way that might surprise you. Is my fair assumption. Thank you, Aries. All right, our last but not least, my dear Taurus, my dear Taurian natures. Taurus, what's up? Woo! Oh, Six of Diamonds, Three of Hearts. Hello again. Um, there's twice as much love. There's twice as much of uh, what you could have believed in or could have expected. Um, there's plenty. There's much. There's more. There's enough. There's uh, full reflections of. There's protection on both sides, abundance on both sides. And this comes back with the one. Ooh, and then we have another six, and back to the three. I feel like this is a very well-rounded place to be. That ultimately leads you back to self. It's like we acknowledge everything on the outside and we can come back to uh, feed and to heal and to nourish through that and because of that. Um, I think the Six of Diamonds is like theoretically perfect, theoretically well balanced. I've seen it often as a representation of ideals and relationships. And I think when we see that outside, that is because we can also pat ourselves on the back for having done uh, some deep self love that allowed us to be open to the idea in the first place. I think, let's see, there's Lion. The Lion presages a sudden shock from bad news with the six. Interesting. From bad news. The sun near signifies happiness and popularity. Near snakes, mice, and dark side of clouds, passages, and vexation. Where there is vexation, I do feel like that's perhaps more of a comparison to perfection. Um, or where we're seeing not a full reflection of um like funhouse mirrors and circuses where you like see less or more of yourself in different proportions. Perhaps reality can feel like that a little bit sometimes, but um don't get lost in comparison or perfection. It does not exist. Focus on growth and focus on gratitude. And I feel like what I say often is like acknowledgement of growth and gratitude for it. And that is like just as good as feel like major tenets of any religion is like whether or like your acknowledgement and your gratitude for whatever higher power. And if you are your higher power or your growth and your spirit are and its connection to the universe or is what you're acknowledging rather than any one specific thing, um, then that is absolutely a way to still grow with it and take away the blessings and knowledge that religion says it offers and science doesn't or whatever. Just trying to make this digestible as a strange spiritual non-religious person. um let's see. With the lion, go back to the Leo thing and also listen to that. And I've said before, uh, Chiron and wounds. Um, Understand what house and what bodies, what astral bodies lie in that, lie with that space for you. And it will truly show you both your greatest strengths and also your most tender wounds, so that you can treat them as such and come back stronger and with a vengeance. Not a vengeance, but stronger. I feel like this is very much giving me like, when you just get all of your health back in a video game and it's like, "Dut, dut, 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 dut." That's very much where this is going. So I know that though this is also a really beautiful card, though that comparison and perfection can feel like a um, tend to your wounds, tend to your strengths, and see them for what they are, and um, always know that you can see yourself fully and clearly, even if others can't, and allow that to shed some light on and revive you from any doubts or comparisons or fears or anything like that. Because nobody compares to a beautiful Taurus. Uh, Nobody compares to that kind of uh, gentility and power all at once. So party on, love you much, and I hope that that is something that serves you well. Okay, that's all the signs. In which case, love you, party on. I do recommend you watch through a few of them more than just your sun sign and what have you. And let me know if it resonates, and let me know how these little bits serve you through the month, or if you find yourself running into it, or something that this comes handy for. because it's interesting to know how this all plays out, but in different ways for people. Um, and I hear a lot of stories on a day-to-day basis where it's exactly that. But I wonder what the internet has because I don't know all of you in real life. But yeah, sit on that and rotate. Um, digest, move through the motions, and keep a grounded sense of self in this very astral projection kind of time. For as much as everything is changing around us, uh, stay tethered like a dreamlike umbilical cord, so that you can also uh, grow and change and be larger than life, but also always remember who you are beyond any of the human denotations and labels that we have. Um, love you. Happy almost summer solstice. I'm sure I will see you again before then. Um, party on and take care of yourself. Love you.